Day. So will Santa end up riding his sleigh into the new year? I like that one. Joining us now is Michelle Snyder, Chief Market Strategist at marketgauge.com. Michelle, good to see you. We got some notes from you saying this is you're focusing on the year of the snake and what that might mean or may not mean for stocks. Break this down for us.
Well, first of all, good morning. Well, it's interesting because I have been following Chinese astrology at the start of every year for a long, long time. And some people might think that that's kind of silly, but there is a great quote by J.B. Morgan that says, millionaires do not follow astrology, billionaires do. And I think it's because there's a layer out there that we have to be aware of. And I always like to say with 1.7 billion people who follow this in the Asian world, it means something. So the snake actually coming out of dragon could mean more peace, more harmony, prosperity, but it also could mean some volatility. And that's basically what we're keeping our eyes on, with certain signals much more concrete than just following the astrological sign.
What do the spirits of the snake tell us about how people might be investing?
Well, I think basically it's very, very prosperous potentially for the Asian markets, which makes a lot of sense because they were so beat up over the last year, excuse me, in comparison to what the U.S. market has done. So I think we have to keep our eyes there. I think it also means that if you want to use the metaphor, a snake can coil and hiss and spit, but it can also travel very peacefully. So that's why I think you have to be prepared, particularly with the Fed, how it's set up for next year, a new administration coming in, for some downturns in the market and maybe a rough start to the year, and then possibly by spring, we start to see things level out. It's also very much in line, by the way, with 1965, which was the last time we had this yin wood snake. And that was a year that started out somewhat tumultuously, but ended well with about 3-4% gains. Case-Shiller's kind of there too. So that's kind of what we're looking for as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Look, most of my dreams or nightmares that have snakes in them are not anything about peaceful travel at all. So I hope that there is some peaceful travel in there aside from the hissing and spitting. You know, as we think about what you mentioned in the new administration coming in, it seems like there has been some hissing, at least pre the inauguration day, and now there's going to be a lot of focus on a few themes, and two of them that jump out to me that I know you're laser focused on as well. One of them you mentioned in deregulation, and the sectors that might be early beneficiaries of that. Financials has really caught a lot of attention there. What's your kind of analysis?
Well, yeah, in terms of deregulation, of course, it's always going to be when and to what degree, and then what, of course, is the aftermath of that. So deregulation sounds great, right? Less government control. But it also means that there has to be some level of oversight. So we know that that can create some issues if the oversight is not necessarily thought out well. So we're looking at that as maybe, at least initially, what people think is, yay, great. But we'll see how much can actually take place as we get into the administration. I think you can look at that in every aspect of what Trump has promised. To what degree, by when, how much friction will they get in return of that? And then, of course, the uncertainty of all of that, what that does to the market.
Michelle, you actually inspired me to check my horoscope in real time. It says I will have a great day and I will talk about stocks from morning to night. So typical day for me. Let's go into some of your picks to that end. I want to lock in on Salesforce, because I just had a chat with Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff, and he was telling me that next year is going to be the year of agents, charging $2 per conversation on millions of agents. I think they're going to rack up some big bucks. Is that your play here?
Well, I love that stock. I've liked it pretty much. Really, it came into my head when I saw the Olympics, because they were one of the big sponsors in July of the Olympics. And then I was watching football yesterday, like everybody else probably. And CRM was Salesforce was a huge part of the sponsor on the Netflix.
Yeah, I saw was Matthew McConaughey got rained on, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That was a great commercial.
Great commercial.
So, I mean, forget about that. But that obviously what they're showing is they're in the marketplace, and they're talking about AI, which, of course, is the great buzzwords of 2023, 2024, and I'm imagining 2025. And so they're really focusing now on increasing AI in terms of how they deliver to customers, marketing, sales. And that means to me that right now, if you look at the chart of that stock, which is pretty hot at around 360, I see no reason why it can't go to 500. Obviously, if the market behaves.
I was surprised to see Rivian on your list, Michelle, and I mention this because, of course, Tesla's really hot. You have basically Elon Musk, second commander-in-chief, however you want to call him. Isn't Elon's connection to this administration bad news for Rivian? And also in the context, Rivian is not making any money, and it's unclear when they will turn profitable.
Yes to both, but however, Rivian does have access to the Tesla charging stations, so it's not necessarily totally in opposition of one another. What I like about Rivian is a couple of things. They had some really good deals this year. The deal with Volkswagen, they got some money to continue to build the plant. They're working on a lower price model. Car and Driver gave them unbelievable reviews. In terms of customer satisfaction, I've read nothing but great comments by people who own Rivians. But the thing is, it's made in America, and that's the thing that really attracts me. In terms of Tesla, cannot be the total monopoly, although it looks that way right now. I think Rivian can benefit. And in terms of turning a profit, well, there were certainly arguments that Tesla didn't turn a profit for years and years while that stock did very well. So a lot of it is going to be the perception, and if EVs aren't quite as challenged as what the administration originally came out with because of Musk.
Michelle, just lastly, while we have you, you have a couple Bitcoin adjacent names that are on your list too, and it caught my attention, especially with regard to Ripple and then also blockchain here. As you're taking a look across the risk appetite that certainly is perhaps best gauged by how many people and what the flows are into Bitcoin, how are you assessing some of the other tertiary plays within the sector?
Well, right, I think that Bitcoin can continue to be somewhat volatile. This 89 to 95 level is kind of really key here. And if that breaks, I think we could see maybe more serious selling. But in terms of XRP, it's an interesting thing because, first of all, it's a cross-border transactional type of situation that is used globally. And of course, here we wound up with the SEC lawsuit with Gary Gensler leaving. It got an initial burst. And even though we haven't started, obviously, with the new administration, I actually think even though the lawsuit's still there, that could be lifted and that could be very good. It's a very efficient system. In terms of blockchain, digital ledger, that's been a lot less volatile. And I think blockchain technology, regardless of what happens with the individual coins, is here to stay, will evolve. And I like that stock where it's been holding over $45, let's say, if we want to be generous with support. So I see upside potential there as well.
Michelle, thanks so much for taking the time here with us today. Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you.
Time now for our chart of the day. We're looking at the weighting of the top 10 holdings in the